close your eyes and allow yourself to drift back, through years that slip away like silk, back past the rush of the modern world, the flicker of screens, the hum of restless cities, back to a quieter time, a forgotten time. The year, 1674. Imagine your feet stepping gently upon ancient stone. Feel the coolness of that stone seep slowly through the soles of your shoes, a coolness shaped by centuries of rain, footsteps, and silence. You walk through a corridor so narrow that your shoulders almost brush rough walls on either side. The stones, darkened by age and candle smoke, carry the faint scent of moss, damp air, and melted wax. Above you, torches burn quietly. Their flames dance without sound, casting slow-moving shadows that stretch and bend across the walls. Every few steps, you notice small imperfections, a chip in the stone where an ancient candle sconce once hung, or a crack that travels like a vein from ceiling to floor. The air itself feels different here. It holds the chill of centuries, and something softer too, the memory of whispered secrets, of long-forgotten laughter, of slow debates carried out in the hush of twilight. You hear your own footsteps echo, a gentle sound swallowed quickly by the weight of stone. In this place, even the smallest noise feels sacred. Ahead, you see a heavy wooden door. Its surface is dark, nearly black with age, and marked by iron studs shaped like small stars. The wood bears shallow scratches, stories of countless hands and keys and knocks that came before yours. You pause, resting your hand upon the iron latch. It feels cold under your skin, colder than you expect, and somehow alive with memory. Slowly, gently, you push the door open. It creaks softly, the sound floating into the darkened room beyond like a whisper. You step through, and the chamber welcomes you. Before you stands the old council chamber. Its walls rise high around you, built from stone blocks so massive and irregular that each seems to carry the weight of centuries alone. Between the stones, mortar has crumbled in places, leaving fine cracks where the chill air drifts through. You breathe in, slowly. The scent here is unmistakable. Old wood, cold stone, warm wax, and the sharpness of old parchment. In the center of the room, a great oak table stretches from end to end. Its surface is dark with age, its edges softened by countless hands that have traced the grain, drummed fingers in thought, or smoothed cloths across it in careful ritual. Run your mind's eye along the table. Notice its scars, faint rings where cups once rested, deep scratches that tell of clumsy quills or sharp blades, small burns where candle wax fell and cooled into fragile discs. Each mark is a memory, held quietly by the wood. Around the table stand 12 chairs, heavy, carved, and worn. Their high backs bear symbols now softened by centuries, shields, leaves, curling vines. The chairs, though grand in shape, are simple in spirit. They speak not of power, but of patience. Above, wooden beams stretch across the ceiling, each one blackened and cracked. Some bear the faint carvings of initials, the secret mark of craftsmen long forgotten. From those beams hang iron candle holders, their wax drippings hardened into pale curtains that catch and hold the light. The light itself is soft, never harsh. It comes from a dozen or so candles scattered across the table and walls, their flames moving gently as if breathing. Those flames bring the room alive. Shadows lengthen and retreat, shapes blur and sharpen. Light dances across the stone floor, pooling in corners before fading into quiet darkness. And there, at the heart of the table, lies the object of quiet wonder, a single silver spoon. It rests upon a square of deep red velvet, its color so rich it seems almost to glow against the dark wood. Draw closer in your mind. See how the spoon catches light. Its bowl, shallow and gently curved, reflects candle flame as if holding a tiny sun. The handle, slender and elegant, bears a fading engraving. Small ivy leaves that twist and curl in patterns now softened by time. Some leaves are clear, others barely there, like ghosts of design. Notice where the metal has thinned ever so slightly, worn smooth by hands that have lifted it in reverence, polished it, or placed it carefully upon velvet year after year. This is no common spoon. It has never stirred broth nor served the hungry. Its purpose has always been ceremonial, symbolic, to carry holy oil, to rest beside scrolls of royal decree, to be lifted in moments where words fell away and silence spoke louder. Yet it is small, almost humble in its size, a thing that could disappear in the palm of a hand. Yet here, it commands the quiet attention of centuries. Around it, the flickering candlelight draws soft reflections, glints of silver that shift and sway, shadows that curve like soft breath. Outside the chamber, rain begins to fall. Its rhythm against glass and stone is gentle, ancient, comforting. A hush spreads through the room, as if even the walls lean closer to listen. 12 men will soon gather to decide whether this spoon should remain as it is, a relic of memory, or be lengthened, remade to follow fashion beyond these walls. A small question, you might think. Yet in the softness of this room, in the hush of rain and candlelight, the choice feels deeper, as though to change the spoon might unspool some quiet thread that holds memory itself. And so, as the first robe brushes stone, and the first chair is pulled gently back, the council prepares to speak. Outside, the rain whispers on. Inside, silence listens. The door opens wider. Slowly, one by one, 12 men enter the chamber. They do not rush. Each step they take carries the quiet weight of thought and years. Their robes, thick wool dyed in muted tones, slate gray, riverstone brown, twilight blue, trail softly across the cold floor. Some robes bear small tears carefully mended, others patches that have grown smooth and shiny with wear. They are men of different ages. One walks with a slight stoop, silver hair pulled back and tied with a simple cord. Another, younger, holds himself more stiffly, the mark of someone newly trusted with the weight of tradition. Their faces tell quiet stories, lines etched by winter winds, by squinting over parchment in candlelight, by smiles given and sorrows shared. Their hands, too, speak, knuckles swollen by age, fingers stained with ink, nails worn short. They find their places around the great oak table, each chair waiting patiently, as if it remembers each man by shape alone. A few glance toward the spoon at the table's center. None speak yet. Outside, the rain becomes steady, soft even, a gentle percussion against the ancient window panes. The walls, thick and silent, hold the sound in place, wrapping the chamber in a blanket of quiet rhythm. In that moment, each man takes a slow breath. A cough is stifled. A robe is smoothed across a knee. Fingers curl loosely on carved armrests. And then, silence. A silence not of emptiness, but of shared readiness. The air holds the promise of words soon to come. But for now, there is only the hush, the kind of hush that exists before a decision, before the first word that might tip thought into action. The spoon, silver against red velvet, remains at the center, small, unmoving, yet strangely alive in its stillness. Its gentle shine reflects 12 quiet faces, waiting. The room, for a breath, feels outside of time. Rain falls on slate roofs above. Candles flicker in soft currents of air. And in this hush, history leans forward, listening. At the head of the table sits the elder official. His beard, long and white, rests against his chest, and his eyes, though softened by age, hold a steady clarity. He folds his hands atop a small stack of worn parchment. For a moment, he looks around the table, meeting each gaze in turn. When he speaks, his voice is gentle, measured, no louder than needed to cross the table's length. "Brothers," he begins, "as those before us have gathered, so do we now gather to consider the matter of the spoon." He pauses, letting the words settle into the wood, the stone, the candlelit air. There is a wish raised beyond these walls that the spoon be lengthened, that it might better match the newer tables, the fashion that spreads in other halls. His tone carries no scorn, no urgency, only quiet curiosity. Across from him, the young clerk lifts his head. His robe, simpler than the others, still shows folds where it was carefully laid out at dawn. His voice, when it comes, is low, respectful, yet carrying a hint of youthful clarity. "A longer handle," he says, "would ease the ceremonial movements, and it might show that this council, though bound by tradition, does not fear the grace of change." His words float into the hush, neither challenging nor pleading, merely offered, like a leaf set gently upon water. The elder nods slowly. "It is said," he continues, "that to keep what is old is to keep faith with memory, yet to change may show life still moves in these halls." Again he pauses. His gaze returns to the spoon. In the stillness, the rain outside seems louder, tapping its patient rhythm. The young clerk lowers his eyes, hands folded atop the table. Across the chamber, candlelight bends around the silver curves of the spoon. Its faint engraving of ivy, leaves curling and half-faded, catches small pools of light. For a moment, it almost seems to breathe. No one rushes to speak. Thought itself takes form in silence before becoming words. And in that silence, history seems both fragile and unbreakable. Held lightly in a spoon's polished bowl, now voices begin to rise, gently, thoughtfully, never sharp. One man, his robe's hem frayed by years, leans forward. His voice carries the slow, calm weight of memory. "This spoon," he says, "has rested on velvet through 4 coronations, a dozen great feasts, and ceremonies whose words we barely recall. In its shape are memories we cannot write down, memories kept only in touch, in sight." His hand, marked by age, lifts slightly as if to touch the spoon, but stops, respectful of its stillness. Another counselor speaks, voice softer than the rain outside. "Yet do we not honor memory also by tending it, by shaping it so it may still serve? A longer handle may not erase the past, but help us carry it forward." There is no argument here, only unfolding thought. Words move like a slow tide, reaching out, drawing back, never crashing. The scribe, seated at the table's end, writes steadily. Each letter formed carefully, black ink catching the candlelight. The scratching of the quill becomes a quiet rhythm beneath the rain. A third man, younger but marked by weary eyes, raises his voice next. "My father," he says, "stood in this very room when I was but a boy, and he told me, what changes is soon forgotten. What endures becomes the shape of memory itself." His words sink into the wood and stone, joining countless others spoken over centuries. The elder official listens, eyes half closed, breathing slow. Outside, the rain falls unbroken, its sound now a soft, endless lullaby against the chamber's thick walls. Candles flicker gently, their flames dancing in drafts unseen. Shadows along the walls lengthen and soften, moving with each quiet breath of air. The spoon remains unmoving, yet around it, thought circles gently, not to break it, but to understand it. After a time, the elder speaks once more. "Perhaps," he says, voice like worn parchment, "the question is not whether change is good or bad, but whether change serves memory or only fashion." His words settle into the hush. No one answers at once. Instead, the silence grows deeper, not empty, but full, of breath held, of thoughts taking shape, of the weight of centuries pressing softly against the present. And all the while, the spoon, small and silver, waits, as it has always waited. In its polished bowl, the wavering flame of a single candle bends and stretches. In that trembling reflection, the whole quiet heart of this moment lives. Rain keeps falling, candles keep burning, and in the hush that holds the room, the slow debate continues, gentle, patient, and deeply human. Let your thoughts drift back, tracing the spoon's history not through dates and records, but through moments felt more than known. Picture it resting upon velvet at dawn, as candles flicker low and the first gray light of morning touches stone. Imagine robed figures entering, slow and solemn, each step measured by respect. See a hand, wrinkled, steady, lifting the spoon gently. Not to feed, not to serve, but to anoint. To touch sacred oil to a brow newly crowned. To trace a blessing upon parchment that seals a royal decree. In that gesture, the spoon becomes more than silver. It becomes a vessel of hope, of promise, of continuity. Picture, too, quieter moments. The spoon laid upon velvet as voices rise in prayer, as choirs sing, their notes drifting upward into vaulted stone, as a single candle, forgotten, burns low, spilling wax that cools and hardens in pale pools. The spoon watches silently, no thought of its own, yet it witnesses. Feel in your mind the passage of centuries, hands changing, faces aging, robes dyed in different colors, stitched in different patterns, yet always the spoon remains, rested carefully upon velvet, polished before each ceremony, its engraving gently refreshed when time wore lines too thin. In dark seasons, plague, famine, war, the spoon lay quiet, covered and kept in a chest lined with cloth, unseen perhaps, yet not forgotten. And when peace returned, when candles once more lit the hall, it was brought forth, not remade, not replaced, but lifted again, the same spoon carrying the memory of all it had seen. It has known sorrow and celebration. It has been present at the crowning of kings and at the signing of pardons. Yet through it all, it has done only one thing, remained. Its gift is not to act, but to endure. Outside, rain still taps gently on stone, each drop a small voice in a song without end. Inside, the spoon's history is not measured by noise, but by stillness, by the soft shine of metal, the quiet weight of memory. And in that stillness, it carries something greater than itself, a kingdom's remembrance, a promise that some things, though small, may yet remain. Pause now. Let your breath slow. Let the room around you fade until only the spoon remains, silver against red velvet. Consider its weight, not measured in ounces or in gold, but in what it holds unseen. The memory of hands long gone, of lips that spoke oaths beside it, of eyes that rested on its gentle shine and found comfort. Think of the choice that will be made about it, to change or not to change, to lengthen the handle so it matches new custom, or to keep it as it has always been. At first glance, it seems so simple. Metal can be melted, recast, reshaped. Yet what is melted is lost, and what is lengthened may not carry quite the same feel in hand, the same echo of those who came before. In the gentle bend of its bowl, in the soft fade of its engraving, lies something no craftsman can add. Memory. Not the grand memory of battles won or thrones claimed, but the quiet memory of continuity. The kind of memory that lives not in words, but in the feel of silver warming against skin. Imagine, for a moment, the spoon unchanged. Picture it lying on velvet 100 years from now. A new generation gathers around the table. They too debate. Their robes different in cut and color, their words shaped by a future we cannot see. Yet the spoon is the same. Its presence tells them they belong to something older than themselves, that before them stood others who also weighed choices gently, who also knew the power of keeping something small unchanged. This is not refusal to grow. It is not stubbornness. It is an understanding. The memory is carried not only in scrolls and stone, but in things held gently, things left as they were. Now imagine instead the spoon lengthened, a handle recast bright and new. Its shine catches more light, its lines align with new tables, yet the memory held in the old curves is gone. Not entirely, perhaps, but softened, blurred like an old painting retouched too boldly. Some will look and see only improvement. Others will look and feel only absence. The spoon cannot speak its preference, yet in its silence, it reminds us that sometimes what is old holds us together more deeply than we know. Outside, the rain song continues, soft and even. It too has fallen on this roof for centuries, sometimes harder, sometimes softer, but always returning. Within the hush of the council chamber, the spoon waits, not to decide, but simply to be. Its worth lies not in what it can do, but in what it quietly keeps: memory, continuity, the silent reminder that what endures often matters most. And so, as candle flames bend and shadows stretch across stone, 12 men will soon weigh a choice. Yet even before they speak, the spoon itself has offered its quiet lesson, not by words, but by being unchanged, by being here, still, by waiting. Let your mind drift outward, beyond the heavy oak door, beyond the slow breathing of candles and the soft hush of voices debating. Step gently into the wider castle. Here, rain falls in slow, patient rhythm. Drop by drop, it touches stone darkened by centuries of storms. Watch it gather in tiny rivulets that slide across mossy walls, tracing lines that time itself has carved. Some droplets cling to iron railings, shining for a heartbeat before falling silently to the flagstones below. In small courtyards hidden between tall wings of stone, puddles form. They tremble at each new drop, sending out circles that ripple, meet, and fade. Overhead, gray clouds gather, their edges soft and blurred, like wool teased by wind. Listen closely. Hear the rain strike slate roof tiles in an uneven, gentle drumbeat. Water drips from carved gargoyles, dragons, lions, and faces of saints whose eyes have watched the sky longer than any living soul remembers. At the base of ancient buttresses, moss blooms thick and deep green, fed by centuries of damp air. Small weeds, delicate as lace, rise bravely between cracks in stone. Along a narrow walkway, water pools, and then trickles down stairways worn hollow by thousands of quiet steps. The smell here is rich and layered: wet earth, old leaves, cold stone, and the faint metallic scent of rain itself. The air feels soft against your skin, a touch both cool and comforting. Beyond the walls, the world continues, unseen, unknown. Yet within these walls, the rain becomes part of something older, a song of stone, of age, of quiet endurance. It washes dust from statues, freshens moss, and gives new softness to carvings worn by time. In this gentle rhythm, even stone seems to breathe. And so, while men gather to decide the fate of a spoon, the rain tends the castle, drop by drop, hour by hour, patient, tireless, and ancient. Walk now through the castle's quiet heart. Step into a corridor where the air feels cooler, almost damp. The walls here rise high and close, cut from stone blocks so massive that each seems to hold a story of its own. Faded tapestries hang between iron sconces, their colors now whispers of what they once were. Scenes of knights and saints, beasts both real and imagined, stretch in soft, worn threads. They sway slightly in unseen drafts, as though still breathing. Beneath your feet, flagstones lie uneven, polished to a soft shine by countless footsteps. Some stones sink slightly at the center, proof of years beyond memory. Your steps echo here, gently, not harshly. The sound drifts forward, bounces softly from wall to wall, then fades, swallowed by distance. Ahead, a spiral staircase curls upward, its center worn into a smooth groove by centuries of climbing. Each step, though shallow, bears a slight hollow, as if the castle itself remembers every foot that passed this way. Run your hand lightly along the curved stone wall as you ascend. Feel its coolness, the tiny pits and ridges left by the mason's chisels so long ago. Halfway up, a small window appears, its glass wavy and imperfect, bending the gray world outside into gentle curves. Raindrops strike the glass, flatten into silver beads, then race downward in crooked paths. Light enters through this window, soft and gray. It catches in dust motes that drift lazily in the stairwell's still air, turning them into tiny, drifting stars. At the top of the stairs, the passage widens. A heavy door stands closed, its surface scarred by deep scratches and the quiet labor of countless keys. Beside it, a small iron candle holder clings to the wall. Its wax, melted and cooled, forms delicate ridges like frozen rivers. Cobwebs stretch in the corners, fine as silk, trembling slightly when a draft stirs. The air smells faintly of cold stone and old wax. Everywhere, silence holds steady. Yet this is not emptiness. It is a living silence, built from breath held in stone and echoes that never fully die. Even in its quietest corners, the castle feels awake. It remembers every whisper, every footstep, every tear, and every vow spoken in its shadowed halls. In this place, time moves not in hours or days, but in moments caught and kept in stone. And so, through spiral stairs and narrow halls, the castle keeps watch, holding gently all that was and all that is. Now, slowly, let your mind drift back. Return through the winding corridor, the curve of the stair, the hush of the hall. Step again toward the heavy wooden door, dark with age, marked by iron studs. Push it gently open. The hinges groan softly, like an old throat clearing before words return. Inside, the council chamber welcomes you back. The room feels both unchanged and subtly different, as though your absence, however brief, left a shadow that now slips quietly back into place. Candles burn lower than before. Wax pools around blackened wicks, solidifying into soft shapes, pale and delicate. Their flames, smaller now, bend more easily in every faint draft. Shadows stretch longer across the table and walls, turning carvings and cracks into dark rivers that shift and merge. The air holds the scent of melted wax, warm wood, and something older. The breath of stone that has waited patiently for centuries. The 12 men sit in quiet reflection. Some lean slightly forward, eyes fixed on the spoon. Others sit back, gazes turned inward, following thoughts that stretch like threads through memory and hope. No one speaks, yet the silence is not heavy. It feels alive, a pause that lets each man hear not just words spoken, but the quiet voice that speaks within. Look again at the spoon. It rests exactly as you left it, silver against velvet, its shallow bowl catching the dance of candlelight. In that reflection, flames bend, stretch, tremble, small gold shapes that come and go with each breath of air. Notice again the faint engraving of ivy leaves curling delicately along the handle, some edges sharp, others fading into smooth silver. Notice too the soft lines along the bowl, marks left by polishing cloths, each stroke a gesture of care. This spoon has no voice, yet its presence speaks. It speaks of patience, of endurance, of memory kept not in grand monuments, but in small, faithful things. Outside, the rain continues, its rhythm steady. Each drop a quiet note in a song that has no beginning and no end. It drums upon slate roofs, slips along gutters, falls into hidden wells and open courtyards. The castle listens. Stone walls hold the sound gently, so it becomes part of their quiet breath. Within the chamber, the rain's hush becomes a second silence, deeper and older. A silence not of absence, but of presence. In this moment, past and present fold gently together. The choice soon to be made about the spoon feels at once deeply important and strangely simple. To change or not to change. To honor memory by keeping what is, or by shaping it to meet what comes. The men around the table sit quietly, letting thought move at its own pace. In this hush, something becomes clear, that sometimes the slowest questions are the deepest, and that in waiting, in listening, in seeing not just what is before us, but all that came before, we may find an answer that words alone cannot give. The candles burn lower still. The spoon waits. Outside, the rain keeps falling. Inside, silence speaks. Close your eyes a little more deeply now. Let your breath slow, and imagine the chamber in quieter stillness than before. The candles burn lower, their flames smaller and softer, like small hearts pulsing gently against the dark. In this softened light, the voices that spoke earlier echo gently in your memory. Words neither loud nor sharp, but carried on breath and care. Hear again the elder's calm voice as he posed the question, whether change serves memory or only fashion. Feel the gentle weight in those words, not an argument, not a demand, but an offering of thought set quietly upon the table like the spoon itself. Remember the younger clerk's voice, softer, yet steady. A longer handle might not erase the past, but help us carry it forward. There was hope in those words, a wish to balance tradition and change, memory and need. And then the man who spoke of his father. What changes is soon forgotten. What endures becomes the shape of memory itself. Feel how those words settled over the room, not as a final answer, but as another layer of quiet thought. Around these voices, there were other moments, unspoken yet felt. A hand pausing above the spoon, then pulling back. A breath held before speaking. A glance exchanged across the table, not of disagreement, but of shared understanding that what they were deciding was more than silver, more than ceremony. Outside, the rain kept falling, its rhythm carried through stone and glass, becoming part of the silence. In your memory, The debate feels less like a clash of ideas and more like a weaving, threads crossing gently, forming something stronger together. Each voice added not weight, but texture. Together, they shaped a question larger than words. How do we honor what was while not fearing what might come? The answer did not arrive quickly. It did not arrive at all. Not yet. But the question itself, held gently, became something living. And in that, there was quiet grace. Now, in your mind, tell yourself once more the story of the spoon. Speak it softly, as if to a child, or as if recalling a dream upon waking. There was once a silver spoon. You begin, small, slender, engraved with ivy leaves that curled like living things. It was made not to feed, but to bless, to carry sacred oil in moments where words fell silent and only gesture could speak. Through centuries it lay upon velvet in a great oak chamber. It watched robed figures enter, watched hands lift it gently, watched lips move in prayer. It felt the warmth of candlelight upon silver, saw shadows stretch and bend along ancient walls. In times of sorrow, plague, famine, war, it was hidden away, wrapped in cloth and placed in a chest, waiting. In times of celebration, coronations, pardons, blessings, it was brought forth, its surface polished until it caught and cradled the soft light. The spoon never spoke. It never changed itself. Yet through its quiet presence, it carried memory of faces now forgotten, of hands now dust, of prayers whispered in languages no longer spoken. Imagine the spoon as more than silver. See it as a vessel, not of oil alone, but of remembrance. A quiet promise passed from one generation to the next, that some things endure, and in enduring, keep alive the unseen threads that bind past to present. And now, imagine that spoon brought once more to question. Should it remain as it is, or be lengthened, reshaped, so it might serve more easily in changing times? The question is gentle, not violent. No one wishes to destroy, only to tend. Yet the choice carries weight beyond metal. To change may honor need, to keep may honor memory. Neither is wrong, yet each speaks a different language of care. Outside, rain still falls. Within the chamber, the spoon waits. Silent, patient. Its story is not finished. It is retold each time eyes rest upon its gentle curve. Each time hands lift it with care. Each time thought pauses before action. And in that retelling, the spoon remains alive. Now, rest in this thought. Why does something so small matter at all? A spoon of silver, simple in shape, modest in size. What power could it possibly hold? Yet the truth is, in quiet things, quiet truths live. Consider this. The spoon does not speak, yet it holds centuries of speaking. It does not move, yet it has been carried through centuries. It has known the warmth of countless hands, the weight of sacred oil, the hush of prayer. To those beyond these walls, it might seem nothing, a relic, a trinket. But to those who gather here, it is memory made solid, a reminder that history is not kept only in books and chronicles. It lives in things touched, held, cared for. In things unchanged, not because change is feared, but because they already carry meaning so deeply that change might blur it. Think of your own life. Are there not small things? A ring, a letter, a stone picked up on a quiet walk that hold more memory than any grand monument? Things whose value is not in what they can do, but in what they keep alive within you. So it is with this spoon. Its purpose is not to feed, not even to bless. Its purpose is to remain, to be lifted with gentle hands and laid down again. to carry forward the breath of those who once stood where you stand. The debate that circles it is not really about length of handle or weight of silver. It is about memory, about how we choose to hold it, about how we decide what to keep as it is, and what to shape to fit our changing hands. Outside, rain keeps its patient rhythm. Inside, the spoon lies quiet, yet not empty. It holds centuries in a single curve of silver, and in that curve, past and present meet. The men around the table feel this. Even if words fail, the feeling remains. In the hush between words, in the pause before decision, in the soft candlelight that turns silver to gold and back again. This is why it matters. Not for the spoon itself, but for what it keeps alive. A kingdom's memory, a people's story, the gentle truth that some things, left unchanged, remind us who we are. And so, as the night deepens and the candles burn lower, the question remains, to keep or to change. Yet in simply asking it with care, the council honors the spoon's quiet gift. Outside, the rain song softens. Inside, thought moves gently, unhurried. And in the heart of that thought, the spoon waits, as it always has. Now, let yourself sink more deeply into the hush. Imagine the council chamber as it is now. Still, softer, quieter than before. The candles burn low, their flames smaller, just gentle petals of light. Their wax pools wider, edges pale and delicate, hardened into soft shapes like forgotten rivers. The 12 men sit silently, each lost in thought. Some stare gently at the spoon, seeing not just silver, but the quiet question it holds. Others gaze into shadowed corners, letting thought drift like mist. No words rise. Yet this silence is not empty. It is full of what has been spoken, what has been remembered, and what cannot quite be said. Outside, rain keeps its slow rhythm. Soft drops tap against stone, slide down leaded glass, and gather at window edges before falling again. This steady sound becomes part of the silence within. It soothes, blurs sharp thoughts, and invites softer ones. In the quiet, something changes. The debate, once measured in words, becomes something deeper. Not a question of handles or engraving, but of meaning itself. The men feel it, that what they are really weighing is not just silver, but memory. Not just a spoon, but what it holds, unseen, unspoken. In this hush, each breath becomes part of the room. Each heartbeat, softer now, feels slower. And in that slowing, something opens, a space where certainty softens, where need for answers fades. A space where listening becomes its own answer. The spoon remains where it has always been. Its gentle curve catches the last flicker of light. Its engraving, faint yet still there, speaks not in words, but in presence. And in that presence, memory itself seems to breathe. Outside, rain softens still further. Inside, thoughts grow slow, like footsteps taken in deep dusk. The question remains, but it no longer presses. In the quiet between thoughts, the spoon simply is. After long silence, the elder lifts his gaze. His eyes, clouded by years yet clear within, rest upon the spoon. His hands, steady, lined by time, fold gently before him. Perhaps, he says, voice barely louder than the rain, the answer is not in whether to change or keep, but in why we would do either. The words drift softly, landing without force. Across the table, a younger man nods, almost imperceptibly. Another breathes out, a sound that feels like relief. The elder continues, "If change is chosen only for fashion, it fades. If keeping is chosen only for stubbornness, it hardens. But if either is chosen to honor memory, to carry it, to keep it living, then it matters less what shape the silver takes. His voice is gentle, unhurried. In this softness, the meaning feels clearer than if shouted. The men do not speak at once. Instead, silence stretches again, but this time it feels warmer. Less like distance, more like shared breath. The spoon, unchanged, still lies upon velvet. It has offered no answer, yet by being here, it has shown something simple, that care itself is what matters. Not the silver, but the way hands have touched it. Not the engraving, but the way eyes have rested upon it. Not the decision, but the thoughtfulness with which it is made. Outside, the rain's rhythm continues, patient as ever. Inside, something quiet settles. The question has not vanished, yet its sharpness has softened. The men feel it, that memory's weight is not in metal alone, but in care given. That whatever choice is made, to keep, to change, will carry meaning if chosen gently. And so, in the hush of stone and candlelight, a kind of answer forms, not final, not perfect, but enough. An answer born of slowness, of respect, of listening. Outside, the rain falls on roofs and courtyards. Inside, breath deepens, thought slows, and what matters most begins to feel less like decision and more like devotion. Now let your thoughts slow even further. Imagine the chamber growing softer around the edges, as if seen through half-closed eyes. The walls, once sharp stone, blur into gentle shapes. The great oak table becomes a darker shadow against a deeper dusk. Candles, nearly spent, burn low. Their flames flicker and bow, reflections shivering in pools of cooling wax. In the spoon's polished bowl, a single candle flame still dances. Yet even that flame seems slower, more like breath than fire. The men around the table sit quietly, their robes heavy with stillness. Their thoughts move softly, like leaves drifting upon water. Outside, the rain falls on stone, on moss, on empty courtyards. Its sound no longer separate, but part of breath itself. The spoon waits, not in expectation, but in simple being. In your own thoughts, feel how questions themselves soften. Certainty matters less. What matters is the gentle curve of care, the slow breath of memory kept alive. In this hush, you may feel your own breath lengthen, your own heartbeat slow. Thoughts become lighter, drifting like mist. What once felt sharp now softens. Edges blur. Sound becomes lullaby. Even the question of the spoon feels distant, not gone but resting. Outside, the rain whispers on. Inside, the chamber fades into shadow. Candles burn lower still, their light gentler than dawn, softer than twilight. The spoon, small, silver, engraved with ivy, remains, not changed, yet always part of change. Its gift is simple, to be, and in being, to hold what words cannot. Now, let your eyes grow heavier. Let breath deepen. Let the chamber's hush become your own. In this softness, the question fades. Only care remains. Memory lives not in metal alone, but in the quiet breath of those who remember. Outside, rain keeps falling, a promise older than stone. Inside, you drift slowly toward sleep. The spoon waits, as it always has. Silent, patient, present. And in its presence, you rest. The chamber feels softer now. Candles have burned low, their flames no longer bright points but small golden breaths. Wax pools around the bases, cooled into pale, silent rivers. The 12 men sit quietly. Their robes, heavy with stillness, fold gently around them. Outside, rain still falls, but softer, more like a whisper than a song. Within this hush, the elder lifts his gaze. He does not speak quickly. His breath is slow, as if drawn words from somewhere deep, somewhere older than memory. Brothers, he says, voice a hush itself. We have weighed silver, memory, and need. And though each thought pulled us gently in its own direction, I believe we have found our answer. His hand, lined and gentle, rests upon the table's edge. The spoon shall remain unchanged. The words do not fall like judgment. They drift as soft as candle smoke. They settle into wood and stone, into the quiet air itself. Across the table, a young man nods, not in triumph, but in understanding. Another lets out a slow breath, as if he had been holding it all night. The elder's voice continues, almost softer now. And in keeping it, we do not refuse change. We remember that memory itself is alive, carried not by shape alone, but by care, by thought, by the gentle weight of choice. The men say little more. They do not need to. Their silence is not emptiness. It is agreement, woven slowly, gently, like a cloak laid over shared memory. Outside, the rain keeps its slow rhythm. Inside, the spoon remains, small, silver, unchanged. Yet its meaning feels deeper now, not because it is kept, but because it was truly considered. And in that consideration, care itself became visible.